Hi everyone, I am Dr. Anisha, a PG resident of Oral Medicine and Radiology, and today I shall be moving on with our last discussion that was blood cell disorders, and in this we shall be moving on with white blood cell disorders and platelet disorders. But before starting the discussion, I would like you to kindly subscribe my channel for further videos. So firstly, we shall be starting with white blood cell disorders, and in this I shall be dealing first leukocytosis. So an abnormal increase in number of circulating RBC is basically leukocytosis, right? Now it is a reaction of the body to a pathologic situation. And under leukocytosis we can have different kinds of leukocytosis depending upon कौन सा WBC है जो कि affect हुआ है. And one thing to be kept in mind is न्यूट्रोफिलिया जो फॉर्म है ल्यूकोसाइटोसिस का, it is most commonly seen. Now as far as causes are concerned, it can be physiologic causes or like acute infection or inflammatory conditions. Now if we talk about eosinophilia, now leukocytosis में eosinophilia, that means जो आपके eosinophils हैं, they are the ones which are affected, and this condition basically occurs in allergic disorders like bronchial asthma, skin diseases like pemphigus, and अगर बेजोफीलिया की बात करूँ तो conditions like splenectomy, now your chronic myeloid leukemia and polycythemia vera में basophilia can be present, and lymphocytosis can be present in acute infections like infectious mononucleosis, chronic infections like TB and syphilis, right? Now coming to a condition known as leukopenia, नाम से समझ में आ रहा है, there will be decrease in number of white blood cells in the blood. Now the causes can be infection, hemopoietic disorders like pernicious anemia, aplastic anemia and agranulocytosis. Okay, all the anemias have been covered in the last discussion. अगर आपने अभी तक वो discussion नहीं देखा है तो you can watch it on my channel. Now coming to agranulocytosis, which is one of the very oftenly asked question in the examination. So it is characterized by decrease in number of circulating granulocytes. There can be different types of agranulocytosis. It can be primary agranulocytosis, in which the etiology is unknown, and then secondary agranulocytosis where there is known etiology like the intake of drugs like antibiotics, anti-inflammatory drugs and diuretics. Now coming to pathogenesis, now what happens is when the drug is combined with haptens, they induce antigen antibody formation and they destroy the neutrophils. Now there is a syndrome known as Costman syndrome where there is severe congenital neutropenia which is less than 500 per cubic mm of blood, and it is a life-threatening condition which is which includes bacterial infection plus cognitive impairment is seen and epilepsy is seen. Now coming to the clinical features of agranulocytosis, the patient will have high fever, chills, sore throat, malaise and weakness. Skin appears pale and anemic, and infection is present with regional lymphadenitis, and the complication is sepsis. Now moving on to the oral manifestation of agranulocytosis. Firstly, necrotizing ulceration of oral cavity, tonsils and pharynx can be observed. Also covered by grey or black membrane can be seen. Fine. Now coming to the laboratory findings, firstly there will be decrease in number of WBC that is below 2000 per cubic mm of blood, complete absence of granulocytes or polymorphonuclear neutrophils can be present, and RBC and platelets are normal. Now coming to the treatment part, any drug which is responsible for agranulocytosis should be withdrawn. So this is the treatment protocol which is to be followed. Coming to a very important topic, that is cyclic neutropenia, one of the very frequently asked questions in the examination. So it is a rare hematological disorder. It is characterized by repetitive periods of fever, mouth ulcers and infections. Now as the name says, it is cyclic in nature. It will reoccur after a certain period of time. नाम से समझ में आ रहा है. So what happens is there is decrease in neutrophils, and basically it is a result of bone marrow maturation arrest, right? It is a 21-day cycle. It persists for 3 to 5 days, and then it is characterized by infectious events. Fine. As far as clinical features are concerned, basically it occurs at any age. Symptoms are very mild. Fever, malaise, sore throat and stomatitis can be present, and also regional lymphadenopathy can be seen. As far as oral manifestations are concerned, severe gingivitis will be present since there is decrease in WBC, typically neutrophils, and ultimately it will lead to ulceration, and after 10 to 14 days scarring can be seen. Now coming to the laboratory findings, cyclic decline of neutrophils can be seen, and to compensate that there will be increase in monocytes and lymphocytes. Finally, अगर treatment की बात करूँ, so granulocyte colony stimulating factor can be given like filgrastim, right? Now there is a syndrome known as Shediac-Higashi syndrome. It is a rare autosomal recessive immune deficiency disorder characterized by abnormal intercellular protein transport. What happens is there is mutation of lysosomal trafficking and regular protein, which leads to decrease in phagocytosis. Clinical features may there will be immune deficiency, oculocutaneous albinism can be seen, peripheral neuropathy can be seen, infection caused by Staph aureus and Streptococcus pyogenes can be seen, ulceration of oral mucosa, severe gingivitis and glossitis can be seen, and periodontal breakdown is seen. Now let us talk about the pathophysiology of Shediac-Higashi syndrome. So as I have already told, it is a rare autosomal recessive immune deficiency disorder. So what happens is there is mutation of CHS1 gene, that is your Shediac-Higashi syndrome gene, which leads to lysosomal trafficking defect. Now due to this defect, there is giant cytoplasmic granules which is seen in all the granule containing cells, right? And this leads to the functional defects of the granulocytes, and the granulocytes becomes useless, and due to which there is a recurrent infection by Staph aureus and Streptococcus pyogenes, and due to that there can be skin infections, respiratory infections and GI infections, right? Also worthless platelets can be seen because there is functional defect. There is defective ADP granule storage and function, which leads to easy bleeding and bruising. Peripheral neuropathy can also be seen, which leads to seizures, weakness, gait disturbance. These are the symptoms which are present in Shediac-Higashi syndrome. Coming to the laboratory findings, they basically exhibit joint abnormal granules in leukocytes of bloods and marrow precursors. Granules represent abnormal lysosomes, and pancytopenia may be present. As far as treatment is concerned, mostly the treatment is symptomatic. Childhood immunization and antibiotic for infection is given. Now coming to one of the very important disorders of WBC, that is your leukemia. Leukemia is basically the progressive overproduction of WBC, which appears in circulating blood in an immature form, right? True malignant neoplasm basically has proliferation in an uncoordinated and independent fashion, and there is marrow failure in which altered blood cell count is there, and if it is untreated, death from infection, bleeding or both can be seen. Now coming to the classification of leukemia, leukemia basically can be of two types, lymphoid and myeloid. Lymphoid may lymphoblastic or lymphocytic leukemia can be seen, which involves the lymphocytic series of WBC, fine. And myeloid basically includes the myelogenous leukemia, which involves the progenitor cells, and it gives rise to terminally differentiated cells of myeloid series, that is your erythrocytes, monocytes and platelets. So coming to the etiology, Environmental and genetic factor is one of the very important causes of leukemia. Certain syndromes like Down syndrome, neurofibromatosis, Klinefelter syndrome, Fanconi's anemia, basically they can include leukemia in these conditions. Now coming to chronic myeloid leukemia, which basically occurs due to genetic alteration of Philadelphia chromosome. Now what is Philadelphia chromosome? There is translocation of chromosome material between the long arms of chromosome number 22 and 9. Also Epstein-Barr virus, polyoma virus, HTLV1 associated with leukemia can be seen. Now let us talk in detail about acute leukemia. So acute lymphocytic leukemia is clonal proliferation of lymphoid cells which undergo maturational arrest in early differentiation, right? Obviously Philadelphia chromosome is positive in this case. Acute myeloid leukemia is heterogeneous clonal disorder of hematopoietic progenitor cells, that is your blast cells, and they lose the ability to differentiate normally and to respond to normal regulators. In absence of treatment, there will be bone marrow failure, fatal infection within 1 year can be seen, and the median range in which acute leukemia occurs is your 70 years. Risk factor is exposure to ionizing radiation and chemicals like benzene. Now clinical features of acute leukemia is weakness, fever, headache, generalized swelling of lymph nodes can be present, right? Petechial or ecchymotic hemorrhage in skin mucous membrane can be seen, anemia can be present, leukemic infiltration in spleen, liver and kidney can be seen. So this was all about acute leukemia. Coming to chronic leukemia, as the name says, basically it can be of two types again, chronic lymphocytic leukemia and chronic myelogenous leukemia. Chronic lymphocytic leukemia में slow accumulation of clonal B lymphocytes is seen in 95% of the patient and median range is 65 years. Etiology is unknown, basically abnormality of chromosome 12 is noted, and as far as chronic myelogenous leukemia is concerned, it is a less severe marrow failure with respect to acute leukemia, and basically slow progressive course hai iska, and median range of diagnosis is 53 years. Now risk factor includes old age, males may they are more reported, and exposure to ionizing radiation are some of the risk factors. Acquired mutation can be seen where Philadelphia chromosome, that is your translocation between chromosome 9 and 22 can be seen, and they produce BCR-ABL abnormal gene. The most important part for us, that is oral manifestation of leukemia, it includes gingivitis, gingival hyperplasia can also be present, hemorrhage, petechiae and ulceration of mucosa can be seen. Necrosis of periodontal ligament can be seen, which ultimately leads to loosening of tooth. Destruction of alveolar bone can be seen, oral mucositis, exfoliative cheilitis, and infection with herpes and candida can be present. Now coming to the laboratory findings, acute leukemia में both bleeding and coagulation time are prolonged. Leukocyte count जो है, it can increase up to 10 lakh cells per cubic mm of blood. In acute myeloid leukemia, predominant cells जो हैं, they resemble myeloblasts, and in acute lymphoid leukemia, variation in degree of differentiation can be seen, right? Now coming to the chronic leukemia, anemia and thrombocytopenia are commonly seen, and WBC count is more than 50 lakh cells per cubic mm of blood. Now coming to the treatment part, which is very important in case of leukemia. So as per an article by Kantarjian H et al, which was published in April 2026, immunotherapies are highly effective in treating leukemias. They are basically effective monoantibodies which target CD19 or CD22 and tyrosine kinase inhibitors. The examples of immunotherapies which target CD19 is blinatumomab. They basically are BiTE, that is your bispecific T cell engager. They combine two binding sites, CD3 site for T cells and CD19 for target B cell, and then they activate T cells, and then cytotoxic activity on target cell is seen. The example of immunotherapies targeting CD22 is inotuzumab and ozogamicin, and immunotherapies targeting tyrosine kinase inhibitors are dasatinib, right? Now coming to the novel agents which are used in combination strategies, survival rates are increased in case of novel agents, and the quality of life is improved. They specifically target cancer cells, and then they mutate enzymes and immune pathways, right? And apart from immunotherapies and novel agents, chemotherapy, radiation therapy and corticosteroids are also used in treating leukemia. Fine. So this was all about the disorders which includes WBC. Now we shall be moving on to the disorders which basically involve platelets. Either they hamper the bleeding process or the coagulation process. So we shall be dealing it one by one. Starting with an introduction about platelets. So basically platelets are small non-nucleated cytoplasmic fragments. They have three main properties, that is adhesiveness, aggregation and agglutination. We already know what is the process of bleeding and clotting in case of platelets, how they basically aggregate when bleeding occurs in a microvasculature, and then with the help of your coagulation factors they coagulate. Fine. Now normal count is your 1.5 lakhs to 4 lakhs per cubic mm of blood, and platelet disorders basically have two categories as per etiology. They can be acquired and congenital. Now we have two important terms which is to be kept in mind while studying about platelets and its disorders. First is thrombocytopenia, and then the other term is thrombocytopathy. Now what is thrombocytopenia? When the level of circulating platelets is below the normal level, it is known as thrombocytopenia. And when we talk about thrombocytopathy, so the number will be normal but their functioning will be hampered, right? So the disorders which are due to the improper or abnormal functioning of platelets, they are included as thrombocytopathy. Now coming to the first disorder, that is purpura. So purpura is basically the purplish discoloration which is seen beneath the skin and the mucous membrane. It can be due to spontaneous extravasation of blood, and it is basically of two types. Firstly, thrombocytic purpura, and the second type is your non-thrombocytic purpura. Thrombocytic purpura, maybe we have different types. Firstly, primary or essential purpura, and secondary or symptomatic purpura. So coming to the first category, that is thrombocytic purpura. नाम से समझ में आ रहा है, there will be abnormal reduction in number of circulating platelets. Hemorrhage in various tissues and organs are present, and it is present in two basic forms, primary and secondary, as I have already told. Primary thrombocytopenia या idiopathic purpura की अगर बात करूँ तो firstly autoimmune disorder है. The body develops antibodies against the own platelet, and it is acute form seen in children. क्रॉनिक टाइप जो है वो अडल्ट में होता है, एंड क्लिनिकल फीचर में वी सी टाइनी रेड पिन पॉइंट पेटिके टू लार्ज पर्पलिश इकाइमोसिस, मैसिव हेमाटोमास, ब्रूजिंग टेंडेंसी, एपिस्टैक्सिस and hematuria can also be present. And as far as complication is concerned, intracranial hemorrhage and hemiplegia can be seen. Now coming to the oral manifestation, severe and profuse gingival bleeding can be present, spontaneous hemorrhage can be present, petechiae, palate and ecchymosis can be seen. As far as laboratory findings is concerned, platelet count जो है it comes below 60,000 per cubic mm of blood, bleeding time prolong हो जाएगा, coagulation time that will be very normal, and treatment में there is no specific treatment. Splenomegaly is present, so basically आपका जो स्प्लेनेक्टमी है सिम्टोमेटिकली वो करना पड़ेगा, एंड देन कॉर्टिकोस्टेरॉइड्स एंड ओरल सर्जिकल प्रोसीजर्स आर contraindicated. Fine. Coming to thrombotic thrombocytopenic purpura, it is a life-threatening multi-system disorder and it is more commonly seen in adults. It is associated with pregnancy, diseases such as HIV, cancer and bacterial infection. They are basically characterized by microangiopathy, angiopathic hemolysis and platelet aggregation in microcirculation. सो नाम से समझ में आ रहा है देयर विल बी माइक्रो सर्कुलेशन में जो एग्रीगेशन होगा प्लेटलेट का, उसकी वजह से होगा ये नाम, बिकॉज नाम में ही थ्रोम्बोटिक है. सो थ्रोम्बोटिक थ्रोम्बोसाइटोपेनिक परप्यूरा इज बेसिकली रिजल्टेड. नाउ क्लिनिकल फीचर में थ्रोम्बोसाइटोपिनिया होगा, हिमोलिटिक एनीमिया होगा, फीवर होगा एंड देन रीनल फेलियर इज प्रेजेंट. लैबोरेटरी फाइंडिंग्स में पेरिफेरल स्मीयर की अगर बात करूं तो फ्रैगमेंटेड आरबीसीज विथ हिमोलिसिस इज बेसिकली सीन. देयर विल बी इंक्रीज्ड रेटिकुलोसाइट काउंट एंड प्रोटीन्यूरिया एंड हेमेचूरिया कैन बी प्रेजेंट. As far as treatment is concerned, corticosteroids can be used, platelet aggregation inhibitors can be used because platelet का aggregation हो रहा है microcirculation में, so basically inhibitors are to be used, and then splenectomy is the treatment choice if there is splenomegaly. Now before starting congenital coagulopathies, let us revise the clotting factors which we have already studied. So we have 13 clotting factors or coagulation factors which are very important in the process of coagulation. So and this is the coagulation pathway. We have intrinsic pathway and extrinsic pathway, and then we have common pathway. So firstly starting with intrinsic pathway, इसमें सबसे पहले there are series of steps in response to bleeding which are caused by tissue injury, and each step activates the next and ultimately it produces a blood clot, right? So when there is tissue injury, तो जो आपका 12th clotting factor है it gets activated and then it activates the 11th clotting factor, right, which further activates 9th clotting factor. Fine. And again जो आपका 8th clotting factor है कैल्शियम के साथ बाइंड करके it is going to activate the 10th clotting factor. Fine. So this is the pathway which is included in the intrinsic pathway. Now extrinsic pathway की अगर बात करूं तो अगर आपका एंडोथेलियल टिश्यू में डैमेज हो जाता है तो जो थर्ड क्लॉटिंग फैक्टर है दैट इज योर टिश्यू फैक्टर, इट गेट्स एक्टिवेटेड एंड इन कॉम्बिनेशन विथ एक्टिवेटेड 7th coagulation factor they again activate the 10th coagulation factor. Now ये जो आपका एक्टिवेटेड 10th coagulation factor है that is going to activate the second factor and it becomes thrombin, and then it further activates the first coagulation factor and it forms the fibrin. Now fibrin in combination with calcium and activated 13th factor, they ultimately form stable fibrin clot which is responsible for clotting, right? So this was a discussion on coagulation pathway in a very short in a very shorter manner. Okay, now coming to the congenital coagulopathies in which we shall be dealing with hemophilia. नाम से समझ में आ रहा है there will be prolonged coagulation time and ultimately hemorrhagic tendency will be present in the patient. It is basically characterized by X chromosome and they are only present in males. Okay, now अगर types की बात करूँ तो we have different types of hemophilia A, B and C. अगर factor 8 abnormal होगा, that is your anti-hemophilic factor, then it will be considered as hemophilia A. And then जब फैक्टर 9 या फिर प्लाज्मा थ्रोम्बोप्लास्टिन कंपोनेंट जो है वो अफेक्ट होगा, इट विल बी कैटेगराइज्ड अंडर हीमोफीलिया बी और क्रिसमस डिजीज. एंड फाइनली अगर फैक्टर 11 दैट इज योर प्लाज्मा थ्रोम्बोप्लास्टिन एंटीसीडेंट में एबनॉर्मैलिटी होगा तो हीमोफीलिया सी विल बी seen, right? Now let us talk about hemophilia A in detail. I already told you factor 8 का deficiency is your hemophilia A. It is inherited as recessive trait that affects male and it is carried in females without clinical evidence, right? Clinical signs की बात करूँ तो again hematoma, hemarthrosis, hematuria can be seen, GI bleeding can be seen, spontaneous intracranial bleeding can be seen, joint synovitis can be present, and intramuscular bleed and pseudo tumors can be present. Oral manifestation में gingival hemorrhage can be present. It can be massive or prolonged. Again pseudo tumors can be present. Laboratory findings की अगर बात करूँ तो prolonged coagulation time is very obvious. Bleeding time can be normal, okay, and then PTT is prolonged, okay. Now coming to the treatment part, pre-operative transfusion of whole blood has to be done. Administration of anti-hemophilic factor, that is your A factor 8, should be done. Again, protection from traumatic injuries would be better since coagulation में problem है. Now coming to the next disease, that is your von Willebrand's disease. It can result from inherited defects in concentration, structure or function of von Willebrand's factor. Now what is the function of von Willebrand's factor? It supports platelet adhesion to the injured vessels and it is a carrier function of factor 8C in the plasma. So basically these are the two functions of von Willebrand's factor and इनमें जब डिफेक्ट हो जाता है तो वी कॉल von Willebrand's disease. It is transmitted as an autosomal dominant trait, okay, and they can be classified into 4 primary categories. Type 1 includes partial quantitative deficiency, type 2 includes qualitative defect, type 3 includes virtually complete deficiency of von Willebrand's factor, and finally pseudo or platelet type von Willebrand disease, in which primary platelet disorder that mimics von Willebrand disease. Fine. So basically pseudo or platelet type von Willebrand disease is your primary platelet disorder and it mimics your von Willebrand disease. Now coming to the clinical feature, it is usually mild and includes mucosal bleeding, soft tissue hemorrhage, menorrhagia in women, and hemarthrosis can be present. Coming to the lab diagnosis, clotting time is slightly prolonged, bleeding time shows variations, and prothrombin time is normal. Now coming to the tourniquet test, it is positive in case of von Willebrand's disease. Treatment की अगर बात की जाए तो transfusion of plasma has to be done, anti-hemophilic factor has to be given, and local control of hemostasis has to be done. So this was all about the disorders which includes platelet. With this we are done with the disorders of blood cells, and if you have any doubts you can get back to me in the comment section. You can subscribe to my channel for further videos. Thank you so much.